So I hereby call to order this meeting of Berlin Cultural Council at 7:14 p.m. on November 19th, 2021, pursuant to Governor Baker's order of last year, suspending certain portions of open meeting law. This meeting is being recorded and your image and voice will be captured. Okay, so the minutes. Thank you, Jess, for those. That was a pleasant surprise, and I sorry,
The other ones.
Yeah, I skimmed over them. The only thing I noticed was I think you had down Meredith Charles as Margaret Charles, so I
Okay.
will correct that and putting them on our page, but I think everything fine, and I think you had sold them shorter than you needed to be. There was I thought they were fine.
Oh.
I would have had anything better for mine. So
I'm glad to hear it.
unless Deborah has anything to add on them,
No,
I
just
move that we accept the minutes.
And I will second it.
Okay, yes or no?
Yes, please.
Okay, Deborah, yes. And I vote we accept the minutes as well. Okay, moving on to treasurer's report. I don't know if there's anything to really discuss on that.
No, I sent it out to everybody to be able to look at, and I still have the old Northbridge Hounds and the senior rollover program, the Halloween story, Davis Bates. Everything's in place. I just have to drop it at the town offices, and hopefully I'll do that either Sunday or Monday, and I'll let everybody know to sign off on it. So other than that, all we're holding at this point is Meredith Charles, who I will hear from soon, I'm sure. And the two grants that have been rolled over from 2020, which is John Root and Roger Bruno. And then the bottom line is Hip Hop Around the World was turned back, $380. So we have $6,880 to grant once we start making decisions about the money.
Okay. And did we have any, I mean, you and I, Deborah, have talked about the Northbridge Hounds. Do we have anything we want to say on that in terms of?
I've been crazy about this, but I think it's best that it's not, what we have to discuss isn't public.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to pass it through, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay. I am good with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that brings us to the fun part of the evening, the 23 grant requests, which total up to a lot more money than we have to give out. So I've been trying to, because during the grant cycle you can't update it, I haven't been able to go back and read it exactly where I had put in the wording, but I did put in wording that we were being more supportive of in-person activities given the nature of the demographics of Berlin, and that Zoom type activities are not necessarily going to serve the community well, and a lot of things seem to be rather distant from Berlin that were requesting money. So I think my general sense this year is to be a little more stringent on what we let through, because it was always good before when we were able to, give everyone some slice of pie, unless they were really stepping outside of the bounds, but I think, at least speaking personally, that to be able to reasonably support the ones we want to support, that
I
gonna have
agree.
to. And,
I
Where you
think
go-
there are some outright no's.
oh yeah,
And I think maybe we'd like to address those first, which we know are ones that absolutely not are we going to look at.
Yep.
Because they don't benefit our community.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, why don't we address those first?
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to promote Sandra's channel. It's not working. There we go.
She has to turn her video and her audio on.
I don't think she has video, but you do need to unmute Sandra.
Is she coming on by way of the phone?
I think it's an older computer that doesn't have.
Hello?
Hello.
Sorry I'm late. Just got in from work and I couldn't find the link.
It's okay.
Glad you're here.
You haven't missed anything important. We just passed the minutes and went over the treasurer's report. Acknowledge that the treasurer's report. And Karen is running a little late. She sent an email that she was somewhere with bad Wi-Fi and heading home, so I'm not sure quite when we'll get her in, but we should hopefully quite soon have everyone.
Yay.
But yeah, so we were getting into the applications, and I think that the first one in terms of ones that aren't under consideration is I did reach out. I had talked to Judy about there was one application that was a duplicate that she had put in and the performer had put in, and basically the one from Judy can be disregarded. That the performer had not gotten it in a certain point, and Judy had put something in, and I did also question, because there was a discrepancy between the two, that Judy had been asking for 500 and the performer had been asking for 650. So I want to know, the reason why and talking to Judy, apparently she had the performer request 650, but she was only putting down 500 because it was her sense that, given the limited budget of the cultural council, that we wouldn't have approved anything more than 500 to begin with. So her requesting only 500 was in recognition of that, rather than any discrepancy in what the performer had said or anything like that. So I think we can consider it at the amount the performer is requesting, and what we have to give will be another matter. But I think, but essentially Judy has withdrawn her own duplicate application, so that puts us down to 22.
Okay.
So since we want to start with ones that we did not think served the town, I imagine someone has some ideas of where to start with that. I opened that.
Ukulele lessons.
Yes, the ukulele lessons which,
It's a veterans program. It's
yeah.
let me see, it's further along in
It
here.
was number 7.
Yep,
So it was community ukulele and guitar lessons.
yeah,
that
Clear
They
Path.
wanted almost, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Clear Path is a veterans program. I had just, on November 11th, I was listening to a lot of stuff that was going on about the different veterans programs. And so it's coming out of that program, but again, I don't know, it didn't really say how many veterans in Berlin it would be serving. It was
Right.
more of a, again, let's see what I can pull it up anyway.
My recollection was they were just mostly looking for funding, and I don't disagree that I'm not saying it's not a worthwhile program, but there was nothing in the documents they sent about Berlin specifically, or a sponsor in town, or how they would get veterans in town involved. I mean, it just looked like they were just blanketing.
Yeah, also,
Looking to
wasn't
fund
that
it.
one going to be at Devon's, which I think is
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of more distant and really serves Berlin anyhow? I mean, it's
Right.
not an undrivable distance, but
But I think
No.
a lot of our veterans in town, at least at the programs I've been to, they tend to, I mean, there are veterans in town who are younger, but the ones who I've seen actively involved in things tend to track a little older. I mean, I say that knowing I have 2 neighbors who are veterans and they're younger, but that
Yeah.
this just isn't, I don't know.
yeah,
And I also, the same with the piano keyboard lessons for all students at the Gateways Academy. I mean,
Yeah, that's a definite cross off.
yeah, that was one that did not mention surrounding towns to where it was, and specifically did not mention Berlin. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking of the right one that mentioned like 4 towns. So I did not find that to be at all. I mean, they are things that I'm sure are worthwhile, but they don't.
but they're not in town, and there's not,
Yeah, they're not.
there's not a significant population in town either able to access it or using it, or
Well, isn't that, I meant to look it up today. Is it a charter school?
never even heard of it.
I'll Google it.
I'm looking right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's called- What was it? Gateways Academy, yeah.
yeah.
It's in Shrewsbury. It's began as an idea to serve Worcester families displaced by COVID, by the closing of private schools within the city. It's creating a micro school through a strong commitment to serving diverse learners and a desire for more real world experience.
Yeah. So that
It's a
doesn't really.
it's a private school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is not serving our community in
No.
any way.
And it's
Okay,
a very
so
small private school.
definitely a cross off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that was 7. We talked about 8. 9 is the next one in line that I said no to, which was the opera company.
Mhm.
Again, it was not, it's in Worcester. It was not serving Berlin. And I know we want to look at things that are all serving the people directly in our town.
Right.
Oh, the opera one that I think was Boylston. I'm looking at.
Oh, that was
Yes.
Boylston?
That's the one they're going to do at Calliope, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I have that.
That one I was
confused.
okay talking about one way or another. I didn't have a strong,
So I confused
think-
that with the one that was going to be at Mechanics Hall.
I think that's the duo pianists, composers, educators, Whipple and Morales in concert. I think it's number 15.
They were virtual.
Oh, then
I wonder if it's number 10, the folk jazz and film music for,
oh, okay.
anyway, it's one of those.
Yeah. The folk jazz one is on my list of rejected.
Andrew Harms, trying to find it. Gateway. Yeah, you're right about that one at Calliope, and then the other guy, Andrew Harms.
That one didn't have a venue, which I found. There's another one in there that reached out to our email and said they had talked to Bob, but so there's one that you might have down that does actually have some plans, but I felt, you know, if we had more money, might talk about, you know, finding a venue and you know, give them a chance, but also this was one where number of people, estimated people serving, talking about 250, like they clearly do not. I'm having trouble, even if you were using the school or something, you wouldn't have a venue of 250, let alone having 250 people show up to anything in town.
Right.
You're
Outside of like the town meeting.
Yeah, we don't even get that many at town meeting, is right.
Well, we did decently for the special town meeting for like about 100.
Yes,
For a special town meeting in COVID time, that seemed pretty good.
be pretty good.
Does number 13, the Cycle of Memory, have a sponsor? That's the Alex Leff.
My read on it was that he was looking at funds to actually create this,
Okay.
to continue to help him create it. And then it would be, the supporting towns would be invited to a screening event.
Okay.
And that
I'm
one was,
okay crossing that one off.
yeah, that one I had down to reject for being virtual.
Yeah, well, yeah, he said, depending on social distancing, they're prepared to host a virtual screening event.
Number 15, I have a no next to. The
Yeah,
duo
too.
pianists.
Yeah, that's a whole virtual thing too. We did not accept their proposal last year.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a no and some note to myself that I can't read anymore next to 18, the Afternoon of Brass.
I have that one too. That's the one that's at Mechanics Hall.
Okay. that's the
Yeah,
one. Okay.
yeah, I had that, a note to reject that based on the distance.
Yeah.
Worcester can support its own darn things.
Yeah.
The next one I had a no on was the Songs and Stories of the Highwaymen. As they did not connect with any kind of venue in town.
Correct.
Hold on, which one was that?
Number 22. It sounds interesting, but they just said, you know, wherever you want me to do it, I'll do it. They didn't.
I think that might be the one that told me, reached out to Bob. What was the name on that? The person.
Matt York.
Matt York.
Yeah, that one, he reached out to us that he had talked to Bob about that.
Did
And
Bob support that?
Not, I don't think I hold on, let me. I think he did.
I don't remember seeing any support information.
Yeah, no, this was, it wasn't in the application, but he had sent an email last month. I've recently applied, blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to make you aware that I have connected with Bob Lodge at the library, and he said he'd be willing to work with me in regards to hosting the performance there. I know many LLCs like to know that there's a place where a performance can take place. Should my grant request be funded, I'd work with Bob to find a date that would work for all involved.
Okay.
All right, then I guess we need to consider that if he has gone ahead and found a sponsor.
Yeah, I didn't reach out to Bob about that, but I kind of figured it was, I mean, that would have been something better to have in the application itself, but
Right.
I felt he had shown that he was acting.
Okay, so then what I heard, I'm gonna read back. The definite no's were number 7, 8, 15. Do you want me to say what
Now
they were?
you skipped, was 10? Did we,
Oh,
Yeah,
10
the
was
folk,
definite no.
I don't know, I'm asking. I wrote it down as one, but that doesn't mean.
Yeah, I
it
had
was.
it down as one that but I don't have any notes as to why I said that.
That it was only gonna serve a small number of people and it wasn't going to be in our town anyway. It's not the one at Calliope. The one at Calliope is number 8 or number 9,
Number 9, that's the opera. Okay,
right?
so the guitar lessons, the piano lessons, the trumpet and piano,
The cycle of memory,
yeah,
the duo pianists, composers and educators, and the afternoon of brass at Mechanics Hall. Those are the ones I wrote down.
okay, that's what I have too.
and
Sandra, do you have any objections or thoughts on any of it?
you're still with us, Sandra. You are muted.
Let me see if I have her number. I'll text her. All right, I just texted her to tell her we think that she's muted.
Thank you.
She should, in theory, still be hearing us.
Hello?
Hello.
Yay, you're there.
What happened?
We were wondering if you had any thoughts on the ones that we were just talking about rejecting.
Oh, I'm in total agreement.
Okay,
It makes sense.
Okay,
Okay,
we just
then,
didn't want to make decisions without hearing from you.
Thank you. I don't know why I was muted again. So I'm
Okay.
back.
okay, good.
okay, so, would someone like to make a motion to, on that? On rejecting a lot of those?
I'll make a motion that we reject the 6 grant requests that we just discussed,
So number.
which
seven,
are written out in the minutes, but,
you have-
so number, wait, I need to turn this around. So number 7, number 8, number 10, number 13, number 15, and number 18.
Okay,
And the main reason being that they do not serve a
Correct.
population. in
They
our-
don't serve the population in our town, and none of them take place in our town, and several of them are only virtual.
Yeah, I just saw this and I don't know if you guys noticed it. It looks like the rejection letters are going to be generated from the website instead of
yeah,
us doing it. So I want to make sure I make note about the actual rejections when we go in to do that report, that
Okay.
they're being rejected because they're not happening in our town and they're serving a very small, would serve a very small population in our town, if any at all.
Right,
Is that correct?
correct.
Okay.
and I will second the motion we have out there. So yes, the motion is to reject those 6 applications for the reasons stated. Jess, you support
Uh,
rejecting them.
Yes, I support rejecting. these
Deborah, do you
particular-
support rejecting them? Yes. Sandra, you support rejecting them.
Yes, I support rejecting them.
And I support rejecting them as well. They are rejected. I'm
That
done.
leaves us plenty of requests
Yes,
that are local or local-ish, or at least seem to support people in town
yes.
So
in one way or
I
another.
did a little comparison categorically of the 4 main areas that we support. If anybody's interested in money amounts in those areas,
Yeah,
and then looking at the others. So we generally always support as best we can the seniors, the schools, the library, 19 Carter. Those have always been our first priorities. So I made a listing of the grants that they put in. So the seniors put in a total of 1,525. The school put in,
wait, can you tell me
1,000.
that number? Wait, tell me
Yeah.
that number again.
they had 3 grants that they submitted for a
Yep.
total of 1,525.
Okay,
The school had 1 grant requesting 1,540. The library put in 3 requests for a total of 1,750. And 19
wait, I'm
Carter,
sorry.
That's okay.
Can you
I'm
just
sure-
tell me the number again
sure.
for the
Just-
library?
Yeah, library was 1,750.
Okay, and does that include
Oh,
the
that doesn't
Matt
include-
York guy?
No, that doesn't include Matt York. So let me add him in right now. Thank you for that. What was he?
He was $650.
50. Okay, so we're going to add 650 to that. And if I can still add things up right, that's $2,400
Okay,
from
thank you.
requests from the library.
And that's 4 grants then,
So
right?
from 19 Carter, the requests were 2,125. So that just now changed my grand total, and I'll do that real quick. It's not right. Sorry. I know it's not right.
Well, as on a similar note, I had set up my notes on a spreadsheet so I could kind of track the money of things I was okay with versus things I wasn't okay with. So based on what we have thus far rejected, all the other grants in total are now at 10,140. So we have chopped away 6,000 of what's been requested. So we're
Okay,
Can you
still
tell me, wait, can you tell me that number again?
10,140 is the
Okay.
grant remaining in
Left in
consideration.
requests. Okay.
yeah. So if we were to fully fund all of the ones that we always do for our community, that's at $7,590.
Okay.
So if we were to reject everything else and just focus on what we usually do, we're still over.
I think some of those would be ones that, I mean, we've always had to, other than last year, cut back on what 19 Carter has requested. So,
Right.
We
Right.
don't always fund the BMS one at the full amount either.
yeah.
And then this
In
year,
the
the
library,
seniors,
we've cut back before.
seniors
too.
have come in very high this year too. Everybody's always been, as we've granted them, it's pretty even with when we've,
Right.
with the school, it's usually been, I don't know, $800, $900. This is way over.
Yeah.
Library is way over what they usually request. And so are the seniors.
Yeah.
I think 19
Although
Carter.
to be fair for the library, one of these was not something they actually requested. The
Mhm.
performer, they agreed to support the performer.
Yeah, but even that
But
being
yeah.
said, before him, it was already 1,750 they were
True.
putting in for. So do we want to go through the rest of them and at least look at whether we're going to consider them for funding? We don't have to fund them, but we can do partial fundings, right? If we.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So let's start going through the others. So one, I'm surprised, or what the one that I was wanting to reject was the Assabet Valley Master Center because it's not in town and they have. It's funny too. A couple weeks ago, I was at the town offices and I saw like taped to the front door a couple of tickets that they must have given to not a senior center since we don't have a senior center, but given to the Council on Aging, I think, if I saw what name was attached to it. So in theory, I guess they may have been sending tickets to someone in town, but I think the fact that we've reached out to them before to tell them to send it to 19 Carter, they haven't sent it to 19 Carter, which I think is probably a more useful place to send it than to Council on Aging, because 19 Carter for actually coming there versus, to count you taping it.
If we had lots of money, I would be okay having a different discussion with them, but given we're already stretched with things really in town and in community groups that historically get people in town involved, I'm fine rejecting them.
Yeah. Also, I guess this year they are planning performances in 4 different towns, but
Not ours.
none of them are ours.
No, Shrewsbury, Marlborough, Westboro, and Southborough.
And certainly, I don't think it, lacking for music being request. It seems pretty much so many things have been music related that have been requested that. So
They
unless
also,
there's any, go ahead.
they also have other avenues for funding, and they do charge a hefty price for their tickets.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't, unless there's any more discussion, I move that, well, going bring to, I guess we don't need a specific motion on this, bring to vote. Jess, how do you vote for or against?
I think we should reject their
And
request.
Deborah
Reject.
and Sandra,
Reject.
and I move that we reject it as well. It is rejected. So,
So does that then bring us down to number 9, the opera at Calliope?
No, we still have the 3 senior ones.
Oh, I
well,
thought we,
no,
I
I
thought we
mean,
were
if
already
we're,
automatically considering those.
Oh, the nose. Okay. I thought we were going line by line.
I'm sorry.
well, however you guys want to do it.
Well, we just need to add number 1 to the total rejections.
Yeah,
Yep. Are there other do we need to? I thought we were going through and looking at the ones that weren't any of those 4 major groups that we usually sponsor,
Oh,
and then
okay.
deciding whether they were going to go in the rejected group or whether we'd be adding them to the group of, we'll need to figure out how to fund.
Okay.
I don't know. That was just my understanding. I'm not,
well, we
I'm
can
not
do it
vested.
that way, or we can do it line by line, whatever you guys prefer.
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, well, then let's go through then by the ones that we are less sure of. So that would bring us to, are we counting the improv as something that would need to be discussed?
I'm thinking that we may need to consider that. We have funded her, and I know she's wonderful, but we have funded her now for, I don't know, a minimum of like 4 or 5 years, I think, her program. And I certainly don't want, it's a fine line. I know that I've never been to her program, but I've heard that she's really great. But is it continually serving the same group of people? And do we need to look at giving her, you know, a year break before we consider again? I don't know, MJ, maybe you've seen her and seen the groups, and is she attracting different people on a regular basis, or is it?
I mean, it's been a while since I was really volunteering at 19 Carter. I mean, I tended to sort of pass by them. I would volunteer on Fridays and the time come in as I was leaving. But I mean, it does seem to be a small group. So I mean, if we're where we are concerned with money, at the very least, this would suggest that there is one we would need to cut funding on considerably, if nothing else. So I think that the logic that, given how many it's serving, that warrants additional pause for thought. So that, I think that brings us to whether would we want to reject it outright because we just don't have enough money, or would we want to look at offering a very reduced amount potentially, but still approving it?
Does it fall under 19 Carter's umbrella?
It takes place there, and I believe Abby has a letter of support for it.
So I guess my personal feeling is if it's something 19 Carter's trying to promote, I'm okay considering it. I'm also okay cutting the funding significantly, and then 19 Carter will have to decide if, you know, if they want to. And the participants, I mean, maybe it's that they're going to have to start paying to participate, and we're just, you know, if we're able to give them $100 or something, then we do, but, you know, I'd be okay, I guess I'm just saying, I'd be okay looking at it later under the umbrella, although we've funded it for, you're right, for a lot of years in a row, so I don't know.
Yeah,
She-
looking back at the request, it's 625, 500 is designated for the salary fee, and 125 is designated for the space rental at 19 Carter, so yeah, so that's
She
something.
could, she could potentially cut back her sessions too. If she's doing 6 sessions and we cut the amount in half, then she does 3 sessions.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what she says too. If the full amount cannot be funded, I'll have to scale back runs. We'll cover running the program once a month for 5 months. If in January and December, if necessary, I will cut the number of months the program can be offered.
I guess I'm sort of looking at that one, weighing it against, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but the sound therapy, which it sounds like it is being accessed by some people in town, but again, not that many. But that's something different that we haven't funded,
And
rather
it's a-
than something we've funded repeatedly, and it's a different something. It's not quite the same kind of thing.
With the sound therapy, wasn't that a virtual one? Like it was something where, I mean,
I don't remember, they're in Bolton, aren't they?
Harvard.
I don't have,
I
or
think
Harvard,
it's
sorry.
Harvard, and they do art therapy and different kinds of things to help people heal cancer patients. And she
Right.
said in the write-up that there were 7 people in Berlin currently involved in the program. I feel we should give it some support.
Yeah.
I would see cutting that out totally. I think art therapy is a really important thing for people who are going through something like that. But
And they called out that they actually are helping, that there are people from town accessing it.
yeah, and I
which-
think that's important.
So I guess it kind of, I don't know if it's my judgment, if it's my place to make a judgment, but if the Meredith Charles is always the same group of people for the last 4 years, you know, it's probably a comparable number of people. Maybe if we have to choose, you know, what to support and what not to support this year, I guess I'd be leaning towards supporting something we haven't supported before that's helping probably a different group of residents. But I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm sorry.
No, but
I'm still very spacey.
I can also see us supporting both of them, but on a much lesser,
Yeah.
you know, Meredith will have to adjust. Last year, we gave,
Right.
we granted her extra money, I think, because we had extra money. But again,
Oh, Karen is here.
it's important
So
that
should we
support these
leave
other things.
the improv workshops as having more of a discussion when we're actually figuring out the actual funding and not putting them on a rejected outright list?
Yes, I think we should consider, if this is something that people are involved in the town, we just,
Yeah.
you know, she can cut the program back. I mean,
Okay.
again, it's not like we have a ton of money, but we certainly want to provide opportunities for people who are enjoying
Yep.
the program.
And
So we
welcome,
should-
Karen.
Hey, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Thank you, finally, I'm here. But
So to recap, Karen, we have there are a few applications we have already rejected,
Uh-huh.
because they are, ones that aren't servicing town.
Mhm.
So we kind of tried to look at the ones we were against first. So we have at this point, there's one from the seniors that was actually a duplicate one. The performer had put in one, so we rejected the second one on that. And we have rejected the guitar and ukulele lessons for veterans, the
Mm.
piano lessons in Shrewsbury, trumpet piano one that didn't have a venue in town. Was it the Cycle of Memory, the duo pianist? Those were both virtual ones. Afternoon of Brass that was in Worcester, and the Assabet Valley Master Singers for their continued not being very helpful to us. So we at the moment have been discussing the improv one and the art, the mind body sound therapy as ones that we
Oh, yeah.
potentially are looking to do, but are also questioning at this point, even with the ones we have all rejected, we're still, everything else would add up to now 9,740, which is still like 3,000 more than we have. So we are looking ahead to the fact that we are going to have to add how much money some of these are getting. So the discussion thus far about Meredith Trials was questioning how many people it's serving, and that may need to, we maybe have to, if we approve that, do it at a far reduced amount. And then, yeah, we're discussing the as kind of a comparison, the mind sound therapy, and
Mhm.
that it's also not necessarily serving a lot of people in town, but is serving some and is different from things we've generally done. That concludes my really bad recap of things so far.
Already generate pound book. Okay.
Because are we just trying right now to see if there's any that we would be rejecting outright? Or what's our goal with the current discussion?
Oh, so this week, this meeting is a yes/no meeting as opposed to how much, right? Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We can't deal with the money yet because after we reject them, they still have 15 days to appeal. So we wouldn't be able to play with the money for at least like 3 weeks. But yeah, both. Given the fact that so much money has been requested this year, we are having to keep in mind more the fact that painful cuts are going to have to be made to make it all work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to answer your question, Jess, I think we are in general asking if there are any others we are.
Do you want to
looking.
go line by line then and just everybody say yes or no? And then if there's a mix, we have a discussion?
Yeah. Let's, I think, go back to the line by line, and I'll call for some votes, and yeah, I think that's good. So
Mm.
the link request for their hip hop program, which amounted to 1,540. Yes. Yes
I
or
think
no?
we should, yeah, we need to consider it.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I didn't hear it.
But,
I'm trying to mute myself. I'm sorry.
So Deborah, yes or no to the link request?
Yes, we need to consider it for some funding.
Okay, Sandra, yes or no to the link request?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we
Karen,
should.
Yeah. I say yes. yeah.
and I do believe that that is one we need to support as we can, so that one
Yeah.
is approved. So next is the Seacoast Stompers for the seniors, and that was one they were going to do this past year, and then I believe weather rather than COVID was the culprit this year. So Jess, yes or no?
Yes,
Deborah, yes or no?
Yes,
Sandra, yes or no?
Yes.
Karen, yes or no?
Yes.
And I vote we support that one as well. So that brings us to the next senior one. So the Karen Bigelow Hastings presentation being done by Tim and Janet on Tim's ancestor, who they have now renamed Indian Head Farm for. So Jess, yes or no?
yep,
Deborah, yes or no?
yes,
Sandra, yes or no?
Yes.
Karen, yes or no?
Yes.
And I vote yes. And start looking forward to when we can have in-person meetings and I don't need to do roll call votes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to the improv.
no, there's yours for humanity. It's another
Oh.
seniors one.
The senior one is the one rejected. It's her own one that's under consideration.
it's later on, number 14.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
so,
okay,
so
gotcha.
5 has been rejected, 14.
Sorry.
I should say 5 has
Oh,
been
Five was
withdrawn.
withdrawn. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so that brings us to the improv. So Jess, yes or no to providing some level of support?
I think we need to consider it.
Okay,
yeah.
Deborah,
Yes,
Sandra,
Yes.
and Karen, I think you were saying yes.
Yeah. Yes.
And I do think we should try to support that. So that is for some amount. So that bring, oh yeah, so the opera at the Calliope Theater in Boylston. So Jess, yes or no on that?
I wish I was going to say something different because I think it's a nice idea, but I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Wait, was you
Deborah?
already on? I'm sorry.
The opera
Veterans?
won $200 for Calliope
Oh.
Theater in Boylston.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
No.
not
right,
in town, but
Not in
local.
town, right. Based on the not in town part, yes, I agree with, we should not.
But
Yeah.
so Deborah,
yeah, I had originally had it on my no list, so I guess I'm gonna go no on it.
okay, Sandra,
I'll go no.
okay, and Karen, you were saying
No, yeah.
no.
No.
Then I did not have it on my original no list, but I will add it to my no list and make it unanimous.
I
Okay,
wish we had more money.
yeah. So say we all. I will speak for us all on that.
Mm,
Okay, so the summer youth band, Jess, yes or no?
I'm honestly on the fence.
Do we want to pause and talk about this for a minute? We're actually,
Can we talk
Here-
about it for a minute?
yeah, I
So
think
I
we're
can
making a
explain
lot
why I'm
better.
on the fence?
we're making better time than I expected tonight, all things
Okay.
considered, so let's talk.
So it would be for this and the summer brass ensemble.
Yeah.
The reason I'm on the fence is not that many, if any, even in some recent years, kids from town have participated. And everyone who participates has to pay anyway. So that makes me, and we've historically funded it for many years. And I love the programs, so I'm very,
The money
and
is
I, but-
provide,
but to support people in
Scholarships, right?
town, I don't think it really, if our money's so tight that we're gonna be really trimming things from like library programs or the seniors, things that we know people in town access, I sort of feel like it might be a year we might need to take a break from those two events. And it's painful for me to say that, and I'm happy to be talked out of it.
do they do this program at the town hall?
They do it at the 17, or at the 1870.
Yeah.
Okay, and they are looking to apply cultural council funds towards scholarships for kids, is that correct?
That was my understanding.
Okay,
Yeah, so let's see, which one am I looking at? Yeah, so, so it's, I think, yeah, partial funding would reduce the quality of the program, i.e. no new music, no scholarships. I think scholarships certainly is something that, well, both are things that.
Can we earmark it for 250 and then think about it later? I don't know.
Well,
Revisit
the
it.
problem is if we have to do the rejections first. We can't.
Yeah, because then we have to send the rejection letters. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. If we don't reject it, we would be tied into giving them some money.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's no reason why, if we want to support it somewhat because of kids in our town, that we could consider it and only give them $100 in the end. If it is, but Jess, you said very few kids in Berlin attend.
That's been my experience, that that it's been, at least as, as a family whose one child participated, we watched the numbers of kids from town dwindle. And then I've looked at the pictures every year on Facebook of the concerts and have maybe seen one or two kids that I even recognize as being from town. That doesn't mean there's not more, because certainly there's kids that go to private schools and kids at homeschool who I might not know. I'm just, and I really do find this painful because I think they're great programs. So, like I said, I'm happy to be talked out of what I think, but it's not a program that, I don't see a lot of people from town going to the concerts. I mean, every time we went, the only other people at the concerts were other parents and maybe one or two other people. It wasn't like, and again, I don't know in the more recent years, but
I can't imagine the recent years would have helped things in attendance, certainly.
yeah. And like I said, I'm happy to be talked out of my feeling. I think when we're talking about things that we have funded year after year after year and whether they're being used by people in town. I have to be honest and say, I don't think this one is particularly utilized by our youth or anyone else in our town. But that's just me, and it does, you know, I am certainly not trying to
No, I
push
think you make
anyone one
some,
way or another.
make good points.
Well, if we reject them and they get a rejection letter, they have an opportunity to appeal. And at that point, maybe they can promote the program more and we'll learn more about it and who participates.
That's a very good point.
That's true.
They have an opportunity to appeal.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Well, unless we want to discuss it any further, I say we bring it to the vote. So the summer youth band, Jess,
I'll be voting no.
okay, Deborah,
I'm so on the fence. I don't know. I kind of feel that this is kind of like the Meredith Charles discussion that we just had. And, you know, and we were willing to have her, you know, consider her and give her partial funding, where this one is the same thing. We have funded this forever. And I mean, I don't know, just totally say no or consider a partial funding on them. I don't know if I should, can I abstain?
you are allowed to abstain.
Okay,
Also, think of it this way. Painful decisions mean that we're actually having to do some work here. So we can feel a little more prouder about the work we do on the Cultural Council if we've had to make tough decisions. Okay. Sandra,
I'm
yes.
gonna say no, even though it's a wonderful program. I want to hear more from them and they need to fight for it.
Okay. Karen,
Okay, so I'm gonna put my 2 cents in, like, I guess it's hard to compare, because Jessica, you've seen personally, like, you know people who have been involved in the program, so have you benefited from it? I mean, my impression is that more people from town benefit from Meredith and have attended her programs than I think maybe this has, you know, this particular program, like over the years, like recently. So, so now I'm muddying the waters, but like, I guess for now, no, if we're really tight on spending, and they, yeah. And we'll, yeah. How are we doing? Like, well, this is a yes, no, so then.
This is just whether they're going to get a
Yeah,
rejection
yeah,
letter
from me or
and
not.
that they can appeal, or whether we're going, you know, we might not all agree, but we're going to be putting them on the accepted list and have to
Right.
figure out the money.
Yeah, see something. There are. We have 22 applications that we are, but we're saying no to some of them. I'm just trying to do the math in my head about like how thin we're spreading our funding.
well, at
Does
the
somebody want to give
at the
Karen that
moment,
number?
based on what we've already rejected, we have, if we approved this and we approved all the remaining ones, we would be at requested amount of 9,740, but we only have, what was it, 6,880?
Oh, okay.
yes.
So basically we are $3,000 over at the moment. The summer youth band is 500, so.
Right. Let's see, mind body sound therapy. I like that one. Do we say yes to the mind body sound therapy? Oh, mommy, you know.
We haven't voted on it yet.
Okay.
We've talked about it.
Yeah. But
So,
do we,
okay, so for the summer youth band workshop, I guess I'll go with the no.
Okay, and I am going to go with no as well, so it has been rejected 4-0 with one abstention.
Mhm.
And that brings us to the very similar summer brass.
My
Oh.
reasoning's all the same as it was for summer youth. And
Yeah.
again, it's painful for me, but I am going to say no from me.
Okay, and Deborah,
Um, I think I'm gonna have to say no, going with the thought process. If we said no to the youth band, we certainly cannot say yes to the other, so I'll
oh, you're
go.
allowed to abstain again if
I
you want.
know I abstained on the other, and you know, that this is a different one, but the
Okay.
thinking, you know,
Okay,
so I'm gonna go no.
okay, Sandra,
I'm gonna say no, because the funding really goes towards scholarships, and if no one is using those scholarships in town, then
Okay.
it's not that I don't want to benefit other youths, but
Right.
yeah. Okay, Karen,
Okay, no, yeah, based on all
And-
those.
I will vote no as well, so it is rejected. So that brings us to the Yours for Humanity, Abby. So that is a program for the seniors, but the application is from the artist. Oh, Jess,
Yes.
yes. Okay, Deborah,
Yes,
Sandra,
yes.
Karen,
Okay, yes.
and I vote yes as well. That is approved. Okay, so that brings us next to the Neshoba Community Band. Jess,
Can somebody convince me there's a reason? Because to me, this is another one that, you know, it's a great thing. I'd be happy to support it, but it's not really. I can't pinpoint and say, yes, this is benefiting like a core group of people in our town who I could look at and say, wow, you know, they're either participating in it or they are going to the concerts and they're really, you know, that they're getting something from it because it's not in town. So I don't like saying it, but I'm going to say no.
okay. Deborah,
I'm just reading real quick.
I realized I hadn't moved the opera in my calculations into the no column, so when I said we're down to still at 97.40, it was 95.40, and now that we have picked out the youth band stuff, we're still at 85.40. We're still got
The one
over
thing that
1,500 to cut
did-
one way or another.
the one thing that I did like about this one was that it was in Bolton, so it was close by. The concerts were all free to the public, unlike Assabet Valley, where you paid a
Right.
pretty hefty price. The concerts are all free. The musicians seem to pick up the majority of the costs. And then they must supplement through the cultural councils that they apply to. So, you know, I'm not looking at considering the entire $500, but even just a little bit of money to support them if they're making these concerts available to everybody free of cost. So that's my thinking on it, where I'm going to say yes, but obviously the consideration was we're not looking at the entire $500, but just a small amount of money to support them.
Okay. Sandra, yes or no?
Oh. I think I'm gonna say no.
That was a no, sorry, I cut out
Yes,
your-
no.
Okay. That is a no. Karen,
Yes.
okay.
Deborah, were you a yes too? Based on the fact that.
Yes, to
Yes, she
consider a
was.
small amount of funding
Oh,
for it,
like,
not,
No,
yeah.
wait,
certainly not the 500. That's why I
Right,
said
right.
yes.
so we're two for and two against, so. Not really. Well, there goes abstaining.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, what is your vote?
Well, I'm gonna have to go with a yes on this. I think it may not be in Berlin itself, but I think it's close, and I think it is worthy of having a partial consideration. So I am gonna have to give an iota of support to that. So it passes 3-2. Uh, uh, okay, so that brings us to 19 Carter's Music Series. Yes, yes. Okay, Deborah.
I say yes.
Okay, Sandra
Yes,
and Karen,
Yes.
and I will vote to support that as well. Oh, that.
I miss Jess?
I said yes.
Okay, I didn't, I must
I
have been
don't like
snoozing
saying
for a
no.
minute.
I'm not enjoying saying no. to things.
Yes, well, these I was bowled over when I saw the total amounts, like especially having looked at it when before we had our last meeting, and to see it balloon up like that was
Yeah.
quite a shocking thing. But I think we're doing well here. So that we approve the 19 Carter. So that brings us now to the Iditarod presentation.
Yes.
I think the dog's coming. Okay, so yes from Jess. Deborah.
Yes,
Okay, Sandra.
yes,
Okay, Karen,
Yes.
and I will vote for it as well, so that one is approved. Next is the comic workshop.
Yes.
Okay, Deborah,
yes,
Sandra,
yes,
okay, Karen,
Yes.
and I will vote for that one as well. So that now puts us to the mind body sound therapy.
I like that they called out that they had 7 people from town using it, so yes.
I say yes.
I say yes also, something other than music.
Karen,
Yes.
and I will support it as well. I had been concerned originally about it being a virtual thing, but I been to the wisdom of the committee and the fact that it is something that's not just music. Okay, so now songs and stories, The Highwayman. So that was the one where the application itself did not mention the venue, but the applicant had reached out to Bob about the library and reached out to us through our email to let us know that he had spoken to Bob.
A yes from me.
Okay, Deborah.
Yes,
Okay, Sandra.
Yes.
Okay, Karen,
Yes.
and I will vote to support that as well, which leaves us finally the Elijah T. Grasshopper.
That was the
Well,
library as well, right?
Oh,
yes,
Yes.
Yep. Okay, that's a yes from me.
and Deborah,
Yeah, I'm gonna go yes.
okay. Sandra,
Oh, yes.
okay, Karen.
yes.
I will vote to support it, though I did kind of question its expected serving
Yeah.
150 people.
It's optimistic.
I really questioned that. I'm sure it will serve
Mm.
a lot more people than some of the things that have been done, and it does have the library support, so I will support it, but
Is this
Mm.
the first year we haven't gotten anything for the stuff for the blind people? in
yeah,
the
I
library?
noticed that.
Oh,
You mean audio
Mm.
journal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they seem to be like every other year recently.
Oh, okay.
anyway, so we have approved the Elijah T. Grasshopper, so if my math is correct, the ones we've approved, assuming none of the rejected ones appeal and the MCC, grants their appeal, we are still dealing with a request of 8,540 versus having 6,880, which is a lot better place to be in than the original 16,000. So
Hmm.
I think we have done some challenging but worthwhile work here tonight. I think the only other formal item on the agenda is when we schedule the next meeting, as we'll need to have at least 15 days for the rejections to be out, so and I think in terms of the timeline, we're hoping to deal with the money in December, so
We also have to talk about who's gonna do the rejections.
yeah, and have to figure out whether it is sending out a form letter or not.
I'm trying to find that right now.
Uh,
I'll go in and
yeah,
do one that I know we're approving of and see what it tells us to do.
in terms, are Fridays still gonna be the most workable day? And is anyone going away mid-December-ish?
I'm not.
not going away. Me like the 17th?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically the 17th is what I'm looking at, if that is okay with people. It's a week before Christmas, so there's that, but I think that would probably be our best timing if folks think they could make it for one more go around at this challenging stuff.
Mm.
Less challenging than tonight, I
Right.
No issues for me.
Deborah, would the 17th work for you?
December 17th,
Yeah,
I think so.
okay, Sandra?
I'm gonna go take a quick look at the calendar in the other room where I
Okay,
got everything, and I'm pretty sure I'm okay with the 17th. Oh, my hips.
Andy, does the 17th work for you?
17th sounds fine.
Okay. 7 o'clock good, or do you want it a little later?
I just happen to get tied up at work. So
Okay.
totally fine.
Okay, Karen, is 7 good for you, or do you need it a little later?
Yeah. Tonight was kind of, I was somewhere that I thought I was gonna be able to do it there, and then I'll be here, so I'll be able to have better
Okay.
internet than I had earlier today, so it should be okay.
Okay. I generally saw, especially with these longer meetings, that 7 is probably a good time, but I don't want to
Yeah,
rush anyone.
yeah.
So was that working as a date for you, Deborah?
Yeah, it worked good for me
Okay, so we will,
for now.
yeah. So we'll meet again on the 17th to discuss the money, and then yeah, I think most if we're sending out rejection letters, I mean, I don't mind writing some material for that.
It doesn't look like you have to. I just pulled up the screen and it says, once you put the ones in that you've declined, the applicants will have received an email notification from the grants management system letting them know that their proposal was not funded and how they could request reconsideration.
And
You-
does it transmit like multiple choice rejection type thing, or does it just reject,
just-
not tell them why?
Yeah, it just says, well, I'll have to go back and look, but it says that they received the email notification from the system letting them know their proposal wasn't funded and how they could request reconsideration. So it seems to me there must be a way to, wait a minute, let me see if I can do it with pending denials.
Mm.
I don't like working on this iPad.
I know without it, before the letter just seems so harsh, just stuff like this, yeah.
Yeah, we used to, okay, so here's pending denials. Oh, you have to enter denial reasons.
Was it like a check a box denial reason, or is it like a sentence denial reason, or like a paragraph denial reason?
Let me see.
Hmm.
Okay, so they list 6 reasons that you can put down. One, that it was submitted late. One, that it discriminates against the state's anti-discrimination criteria. It doesn't meet state eligibility requirements. It is not arts, humanity, or science. Weak public benefit, which is probably what most of these are, in that the project did not provide enough public benefit for our community compared to other proposals. So that's probably the main one. And then the other one is unmet local criteria, that the project did not meet the posted local criteria, which I think that the last 2 are the ones that we would be going with.
Yeah.
All of the others meet those kind of guidelines. So you select one of this. You can write additional information in if you want. I'd say keep it short and sweet. Just do the denial for
Yeah.
the weak public benefit, or it's probably going to be weak public benefit for
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, I think that, well, I mean, Ricky's email said to put whatever rejection reason was the strongest, and I think that is the strongest. I think for the ones that are virtual, our updated guidelines would make the second one still apply, but I think the former is the way to go.
Yeah, it is the strongest because the other one, if you do unmet local criteria, it says you have to state the criteria that they did not meet. But for the weak public benefit, it's saying that there were other ones that were going to provide more benefit than that particular one. So I think that's probably the safest one to use.
Okay.
Oh, so truthful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's
It's
exactly
not
what
that
we-
any of these are bad things, you know.
Yeah.
it's Just,
Absolutely not. They're all good programs.
Yeah, and actually, ironically, to having so many, having so much money, I think this has been a better year in terms of the quality of them as programs themselves, at least, but just not necessarily in terms of their benefit to Berlin in particular.
Exactly.
Okay, so Deborah, are you going to take care of that, or do you want me to do any of that, or?
I won't be able to do it probably till early next week because I have, I've got stuff going on over the weekend that I'm not going to have any time for myself. So if that's all right with everybody, I'll do it early next week. But then did we still fit within our 2-week guideline by?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're not meeting till the 17th, pretty much so long as it gets done this month, we're good.
Okay, yeah.
does
as
it
long
have
as
to be business days or is it?
I think it's just
days?
15 straight days. So long as you're good with putting that in, Deborah, I don't mean to push the work onto you.
No, it's fine. And if I run into trouble, I'll let you know, MJ, so that you
Okay,
can pick up the slack for me.
okay. We make a good team.
Yes,
So-
we do, all of us.
Yeah. So, and I'm glad everyone was able to make it. I think we've all been very busy lately, so I was going into this meeting rather nervous about it all, so I think it worked out
I'm
well.
leaving this meeting feeling very bad, being a meanie.
Well, we haven't had this many requests for a long time, nor have we had the amount of money so beyond
Yeah,
what we are able to grant. So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it's still gonna be painful, even with the ones we're saying yes to.
yeah.
Mhm.
But I think cutting back like $1,800 is gonna be a lot easier than.
Yeah.
I mean, not like a couple of years ago, I think had 6,300 to give and had like almost 10,000 to requested, and I know we always rejected a couple, but I think this is in terms of money requested to money we have to provide ratio about where we were pre-pandemic. We've just had to be
Mhm.
a little harsher, but that's why we don't get paid the big bucks. Okay. Well, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Do I
second.
have a second? And
I
Karen
second.
seconds, okay. Yes or no to adjourn?
Yes,
Deborah, yes or
Yeah.
no to adjourn? Sandra,
Yes.
okay, Karen,
Yes.
and I vote we adjourn. Thank you very much for giving up